First of all, I want to thank y'all for having me, Fran. Reached out and said, Bob, will you bring us up to date on some things in the county? And I made a list of 45 things. No, I'm just kidding. There's about 5 topics I'd like to talk to you about. This past Monday, we passed our budget, $168 million in Dare County. That is the overall budget. $108 million is the general fund. We fund $23 million of that $108 million for our school system. We are truly dedicated to educating our kids, making sure our teachers get good pay. I don't know if you've seen it recently, Gail. It came out just recently. Dare County is number 1 in the entire state of the average teacher pay. Gail, you know how much?
No.
$59,000.
Wow. I was going to say 40.
You know what the average state is? $53,000.
Yeah.
We're number 1 in the state. Number 1 in the state. We're proud of that, and very, very proud of that. And we're going to continue to do what it takes, Nancy, to educate our kids. Whatever it takes, we're going to do that. Whatever it takes. Once again, no tax increase. No tax increase. Do you realize, and up until this year, we were the 7th lowest, Mary, the 7th lowest ad valorem tax in the entire state. I believe now we've gone to number 5. Number 5, lowest ad valorem tax in the entire state. So we're very proud of that we're using your money extremely wisely. We're investing your money in what's best for Dare County. Well, let me just tell you this. We got a couple of things going. You probably heard the animal shelter. We're getting ready to build a new animal shelter in Manteo over by our EOC building, $14 million building there, state of the art, that we got $8 million in grant money to build that facility. We partner with Terrell County and Hyde. We do it all 911 for our county and those other 2 counties. Phenomenal operation, just a great facility. We are also getting ready to, and this will be my last topic I'll talk to you about is COA, but we're getting ready to interview. We've had 5 applicants for architects for the new facility in Manteo for COA for multi-classroom use, and we're going to interview on the 17th 2 of those architects. We've narrowed it down to 2 architects. Number 2, inlets. How many of you ever been in a boat and drove out Oregon Inlet? So, Jessica, you know how difficult that is, don't you? We have, since the bridge was built, the first bridge in '63, the federal government didn't keep that channel to 14 feet, which they said they were supposed to do, and they haven't done it. Once again, our board has stepped up to the plate. We've provided funding to dredge that inlet, not to the 14 feet, but we've spent millions of dollars in dredging that inlet to try to have a highway for our commercial and our recreational fishermen. Well, guess what? I am proud to say that our board, we formed the Oregon Inlet Task Force about 6 years ago. Jim Tobin, our commissioner, chairs that board. We have now partnered with the state of North Carolina, Arlene, to the tune of $15 million in a private-public partnership to build a dredge that'll be dedicated specifically for Hatteras Inlet and Oregon Inlet, so our commercial fishermen and our recreational fishermen can go to work every single day, just like you and I do, drive up Highway 12 to go to work. Phenomenal. The state, the public-private partners, There's a firm out of Greenville, JTE, that's gonna do this for us and work with us, and we will once that dredge is built, and we hope to do it within 24 months, we'll be dedicated to those two inlets. First, it can go other places, but those are the first areas that will get the primary use out of that dredge, and we'll get that inlet to 14 feet. Not by the help of our federal government, by any stretch of the imagination, but the fact that we were relentless and working hard. We've had a lot of accomplishments in the last 5 or 6 years that I am very, very proud of, along with my fellow board members. Number 3, beach nourishment. Y'all like that beach out there? Do you go to it?
Oh, yes.
Is it our economic engine? By every bit, Marty, of the stretch of imagination, that's our economic engine. We cannot, under any circumstance, and I say under any circumstance, and trust me, this is a partisan issue on offshore drilling and even nourishment. But I've had to stand up and take a tough position against my party with respect to beach nourishment and offshore drilling. We stepped up to the plate. The businesses in Dare County stepped up to the plate years ago to do this occupancy tax. And that's where we get our funds to do nourishment. In the last 7 or 8 years, $100 million has been spent on beach nourishment. $100 million. I commend Nags Head's Board of Commissioners for stepping out of the box and making it happen and being the first to do it. Some $40+ million to do that nourishment. It was only supposed to last, Yvonne, for 5 years. They're doing maintenance right now to the tune of $40-some million that lasted, actually, it's the 9th year. So that's a blessing. These projects are only designed to last 5 years. Southern Shores, Kitty Hawk, Duck, Kill Devil Hills. We did 2 projects in 18. That was $40-some million. Don't worry about it. She looks good as anything she drinks. That project, once again, only supposed to last 5 years. And we may have to do it sooner because Kitty Hawk, as you know, is the very, very hot spot there, Andrea. And we may have to do it sooner than 5, but if we do, the other towns, because the mobilization cost is so high, it's $5 million just to mobilize, we can't afford for each town to have to do that. That's why we partnered to do one project. And so the other towns are willing to do maintenance sooner if it needs to be done, but not as much, so that we keep that in the cycle. So that's the second project. That same year, Buxton, you're aware of Buxton? That's a $25 million project. Florence was not kind to Buxton. Hurricane Florence wasn't kind to him at all. We lost about 300,000 cubic yards to Florence and Buxton. So we have fast traced that. Instead of 2022, we're going to do 2021. That's about a $19.8 million project that we're getting, believe it or not, $5.8 million out of FEMA because it's an engineered beach. The federal government won't give you money for beach nourishment, but yet if you have an engineered beach, they'll pay you for what's lost. Go figure. Go figure. So we fast-tracked that, and that's going to happen in 2021. As a matter of fact, we just approved that in our meeting this past Monday to do that. So we're excited about that. We have made a decision as a board that whatever projects that we have to date, we can't afford to spend $100 million, Jessica, and then not do the maintenance when it's required. That's just doesn't make sense. Just does not make sense. Once again, that is our economic engine. We cannot afford for something to happen to that. And it's just critical that we continue to move forward and we continue to protect that. Next item is offshore drilling. This is the one that I catch a lot of heck from my party. I'm trying not to be political today. But I catch a lot of flack from that because I've been very, very outspoken against offshore drilling. The governor, who is not of my party, but recognized my efforts, asked me to come to Raleigh about 18 months ago. Governor Cooper asked me to sit in with Secretary Zanke to talk about offshore drilling. And I was not there to talk about being in opposition to offshore drilling. I was there to talk about alternatives, Paula. I wanted to talk about alternatives. There are alternatives. The United States of America, if you're not aware, has the largest shale oil deposits in the world. 2.7 trillion potential barrels of oil in the United States. We're exporting oil. You realize that? We're exporting oil. There's 141 refineries in this country. They're outdated. I tell the administration, let's cut the red tape. Let's let these companies, oil companies, upgrade these refineries rather than going through so much red tape of 4 and 5 years. It takes 3 or 4 years just to get a well drilled throughout the country. Let the 10 oil producing states produce as much oil as they want. They want to do it. The Texases, the Californias, the Montanas, the Dakotas, all of those folks want to do that. Let them do it. Let them have it. We can't afford to have oil drilled off our coast, and history will show you, not one senator has come to me or said to me, oh, we're going to create jobs. We're going to create money for Dare County, the state of North Carolina. It's just not the case. The last time seismic testing was done, and believe, are you aware that seismic testing doesn't find oil? Are you aware of that? Seismic testing, you know what seismic testing does? Seismic testing says there's potential there. The only way you find oil is to drill. We've got 3 canyons off our coast. You got to drill 6,000 feet. 6,000 feet. 6,000 feet. Once again, we cannot jeopardize our economy by drilling offshore. It's impossible. What are we? In some places on the Outer Banks, we're 100 miles long island. In some places in Dare, it's a professional's drive in a chip shot, Courtney, from the sound to the ocean. In some cases, in Tiger's case, it's a drive. He don't need the chip. We're a narrow island. One spill would devastate this economy. Some 300 restaurants, thousands of businesses and hotels, and the tourists would go away. You realize that 30% of the Exxon Valdez oil is still under the beaches in the Gulf? You ever heard of Turner oil spill? Raise your hand. One guy. One guy. You aware of Turner? That happened 6 years prior to the Exxon Valdez, 2004. The federal government worked with Turner to try to keep this under control and quiet. Do you realize that it's 2019, do the math, it's 15 years, that oil rig and has still not been capped. It's still leaking oil today. It is the largest oil spill in the history of the United States. And the federal government says we are probably not going to see that capped because it's so deep before the end of the century. Before the end of the century. Now, can you imagine what's, I don't have to tell you what's happened in the Gulf with the migration of mammals and sea mammals and the billions of oyster beds that's been destroyed, and the list goes on and on. They want to say the Gulf is thriving. Try to talk to the fishermen down there. Try to talk to the restaurateurs. Try to talk to the hotelers. We, under no circumstance, can we afford to jeopardize it. I've been to D.C. numerous times. God bless Walter Jones. God rest his soul. He supported us. I need you to talk to Burr, and I need you to talk to Tillis. I met with Kershank. I met with Kershank, who is head of BOEM. Met with him for an hour. His scientist sitting right next to him. Pro drill, pro drill, pro drill. Secretary Zanke came in. He had his one of his proteges come in, sat down right next to me, James, had this in front of his face the whole time and never looked up the entire hour of the meeting. Got up and left and never said, kiss my foot, goodbye, nothing, thank you for being here. That's the attitude up there. It's all about drilling. If you go by the seismic testing and the amount of oil that they predicted that we would get from the last seismic testing, it would provide enough oil that once it was processed, turned to petroleum, would last the United States of America only 57 days. Is it worth it? No. Is it worth it? Absolutely not. It's not worth it. I will continue to fight this fight. As you very well know, a federal judge has blocked this, and we're biding time now, but I don't have to tell you, come 2020 and whatever the outcome of the election is, you know it's going to be back on the table. And we can't afford it. We just cannot afford it. And as long as I'm chair of Dare County Board of Commissioners, I'm going to do what's in the best interest of Dare County, and I'll fight this, and I'll go everywhere I got to go. I'm all over the place. I've spoken at many, many places against this, and I'll continue to do that. Last but not least, I hadn't heard any stomachs growl yet, but I will try to wrap this up. COA, College of the Albemarle. As I said earlier, Catherine, our students are our future. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that our students get the best possible education that they can get in Dare County. I went on the board of the College of the Albemarle about 18 months ago now. I was appointed, God rest his soul, my good friend Warren Judge, who served on that board. After his passing, I was appointed to that board. Warren worked very, very hard for us in this county, and I'm honored to follow his footsteps. Paul O'Neill was the chairman of the Currituck Board of Commissioners. And he and the president of COA came to me and said, Bob, we need to expand COA campus in Dare. And because we need to get the FTEs up, the full-time students. And so that we don't have any we don't have any controversy from the state in providing funding. And I said, absolutely, I'm all for that. I said, but I'll only agree to do that if the Board of Trustees will agree to do this. And they said, well, what's that? I said, there's one caveat, and that's our students in Dare County can get a 2-year associate's degree in Dare County without having to drive to Elizabeth City and take classes. Now, once again, can you imagine a 17-year-old boy or girl, 18, graduate from high school, having to take classes in Elizabeth City? I don't have to tell you, Earl, you Carl, is it Carl? Earl. I couldn't see, but I'm trying to get it right. Can you imagine Earl driving down 158, and you get the Barco, you make that left-hand turn? What's down there? Same thing as 64, right? Dark road, woods, swamp on both sides. 18, 17-year-old girl, boy taking a class at Elizabeth City at night by themselves and having to drive home. I'm just horrified of what could happen. So that's why I was adamant about being able to teach our kids in Dare and let them get an associate's degree in Dare. And they said, Bob, we can do that. We can do that. Our board jumped on it. We passed the budget. Like I said again this past Monday, we will build an $8 million multi-use classroom facility in Manteo. My vision, I'm just so excited about it. What a great opportunity for us when you make that right-hand turn right across that bridge right there and make that turn into Manteo and go by CVS Pharmacy, and on the right-hand side, what a huge, beautiful campus that's going to be. Guess what? We're tearing all those school buildings down. We're going to spend $1 million, tear all that stuff down. And then we're going to build this $8 million multi-use classroom. My vision, more classrooms, dormitories one day. That's my vision. And we're excited about it. We're interviewing 2 architects to start that process on the 17th of this month. Here's the next really exciting thing. I said, if we're going to build a facility, we got to entice the kids to go to COA, our graduating seniors in high school in Dare County. I have been everywhere doing a PowerPoint presentation to all the Rotaries. I've gone to every single PTA, and I give you a beautiful PowerPoint presentation about why COA. $6,527 can get you an associate's degree at COA. Go to East Carolina, and I are one, for a freshman and sophomore year, $37,500 and some odd dollars. Anybody from state in here? North Carolina State? $42,000 and some change. Appalachian State, $37,000 and some change. And then people look at me and say, "Well, wait a minute, Bob. You're not being fair, Paula." She said, "You're not being fair because $6,500 versus $37,000 at ECU. You got to have room and board at ECU." I said, "Okay, let's cut it out. Cut the room and board out. It's still a $17,000 difference to go to ECU versus COA." And I don't have to tell you, that's huge for our parents here in Dare County. So we took it to the next level. And this is just the beginning. I got our board to agree with not only doing the new classroom and not only the new campus and teaching our kids there, we also put in the budget $250,000, Jerry, for providing free tuition to our graduating seniors in Dare County to go to COA. Now that's just a start. I was trying to get $300,000, and the county manager said, Bob, we got one little tweak here we got to do. And I said, okay, I'll bend a little bit, but next year we're going to up it. And we're going to up it again. Where we can provide, we're going to offer free tuition to every graduating senior in Dare County. We're not going to be able to do it with the 250, but it's going to be a first come, first serve. I just this morning sent out an email to Artie Tillett, which you know is with the school board, Ann Patera, who comes from Virginia with a background in community college efforts, and Jim Tobin, a commissioner on our board, that we will meet at 9 o'clock on the 17th to put the program together as to how you apply and who can qualify to do that. We're not going to just limit it to an associate's degree. We're going to talk about the trades. We're going to add the trades. Welding, restaurant, culinary. It's hard for me to remember that big word, James.
Nursing.
Absolutely. You realize that COA is number 3 in the state when it comes to the nursing program? Unbelievable, guys. I mean, you know.
When would that start?
We got to get the building built. We got to get the building built. It probably will be, Jessica, it won't be this fall, but hopefully it'll be next fall. But to get that going. But I mean, I'm just so excited about it. I'm so proud of our board and what they've said they would do. And it's all about our kids. It's all about our future. And it's all about, I want our kids to stay here. I don't want our kids to go away and work. You know, James said I was, he said I was born and raised in Portsmouth. That's, we call it P-Town if you're born and raised there. You can't, it's not the end of the world. You can just see it from there. But if you go there now, Arlene, you better carry your guns. All I got to say. As much as I'm proud of being a P-Town boy, I came down here as in the 50s with my parents and fell in love with the place, and I said one day I'll move down, and I did. It came down in '68, but God, I love this place, just like every one of you. We're so fortunate to live where we live and to be able to make the living that we make in this beautiful place. Why in the world would we want to damage it in any possible way? I ask you to continue to support us as a board. Reach out to me. I'm very, very accessible. If I don't know the answer, I promise you I'll get it for you in a very short period of time. But our board is working really hard on your behalf because we want you to live and continue to live in a great community, and we want to do what's best for Dare County. I'm always accessible. Please feel free to text. Oh, by the way, go on our website when at our meetings now. We went live this past Monday. When you pull up our website, boom, right there in front of you, right into the screen, click on that, and we're live. You can watch our board meetings live. We're transparent, folks. We're going to give you you've got every single opportunity to reach out to us. There's no excuse for you not to be able to get answers from us and reach us and talk to us. Every one of our commissioners are committed, as well as I, to give you what you need as a citizen of Dare County. Once again, I want to thank you all for having me for lunch. I could go on another 2 or 3 hours, but out of respect for but out of respect for you guys, I won't do that. But please reach out to us. We're accessible. We want to be the best commissioners that we can possibly be. Every one of our folks. And thank you for what you do, and thank you for your support. Really appreciate it.